Hi folks, and welcome to book number 21 in my James Herbert review list. First and foremost, I'm actually going to apologise for the fact that I got the title of the last book wrong. It's The Secret of Crickley Hall, not Crinkley Hall. I even knew it was Crickley Hall, and yet I've both said and wrote Crinkley Hall, but I'm not going to change it. I'm going to leave with the mistake. And if anybody points it out, then I'll see this video. And if you haven't pointed it out, then I've got away with it. Although I've just admitted to my mistake. But anyway, I don't know why I thought it was Crinkley Hall. Crickley Hall. Never mind. Doesn't matter. It's still a naff book. Moving on. Book number 21 then on this list. A book that's almost as equally naff, but for different reasons, and probably a bit controversial because this one's like wildly all over the place on James Herbert. Did I say James Herbert or Richard Lehman at the start of this? I can't even remember. I'm not going to edit it. I can't even remember if I've said Richard Lehman list or James Herbert list. It's James Herbert I'm talking about, isn't it? It's very early in the morning. Let me have a quick sip of this. Right, James Herbert, that's who we're talking about. The last book was Crickley Hall, not Crinkley Hall. Good God. Anyway, book number 21. Like I say, this one's quite controversial because some people love this and some people hate it. And it's usually for the same reasons. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. And I don't think it's very good. Which is why it's at number 21, and it's his 1992 eco-thriller, Portent, which is one of the last Herbert books I ever actually read. And I'm not really sure what this is. Portent is an cataclysmic thriller. It's about a man called, I think his name is James Rivers, which is a bit of a silly name. It's got a lot of silly names, and there's a guy here called Hugo Pog. I don't know where he was getting these names from at this point. There's some really strange names, but he notices this weird ball of light, which seems to predict an event, and over time he starts to notice other balls of light that are seen as portents to precursors to events that go on, like earthquakes and hurricanes and fires and stuff. And there's a lot of stuff going on, like natural disasters, but they're escalating. And right, James Herbert was a horror author. He called himself a chiller author. He did write a few books that have more of a sort of terrorist element to them, in the same that Sean Hudson, who I'll also cover later in one of these things, did as well. But it was generally chiller stuff or sort of action, but he very rarely touched on sort of bigger themes. And with Portent, he's trying to do something bigger. He's basically trying to tell a story about man's destruction of the planet and of the fact that the planet is going to start fighting back, and how the planet is going to reclaim itself unless man changes. And that's all well and good, but my problem with this book is that it's so preachy and it just seems all over the place. There's moments of horror that are great. There's a bit, that remind me of the Own, with a man getting sheared in half with glass, people being burnt to death, people being crushed and all sorts. It's got some great horror aspects to it. Then you've got all this weird stuff about, I think, is it like the Dream Man? And there's this woman. I think there's a woman with claws. There's these two psychic twins. It's just like it's all over the place. It really is. It's just such a convoluted mess of ideas. And if this was about one sort of, I guess, paranormal event that's leading into natural disasters, I could get behind it. But the story was so convoluted and had so many different things going on that kind of just seemed so unrelated. It was just a mess. And the overall story here, it's just really preachy. I understand that we have done irreparable damage to the earth, and, we should all do our bit to protect the planet we live on, because, good God, if we don't, and we don't have a planet to live on, what are we going to do, right? So, you should always look after your own home, and Earth is all of our homes. I get that, and I completely agree with it. But this is very heavy-handed. I mean, the downside to all that is it's not an uninteresting story, and I actually think the writing here is pretty good. The use of language and flow. I mean, Herbert at this point was just an excellent writer. And he can make even a bad book seem better because of how good a writer he is. But of all the books that Herbert's wrote, he's done a couple that the synopsis was just not interesting at all to me, and which the story I just found dull. And this is one of them. This is probably the worst of those. I don't know. Mileage might vary depending on what you like. If you like eco thrillers and you like the idea of Mother Nature fighting back, and you're in for a bit of a weird wild ride, and you don't like his horror stuff, then I mean, to be honest, what you're doing reading a retrospective of James Herbert, because that's what he does. But you might enjoy this book, is what I'm trying to say. But for me, whilst it's more original than the previous books I've spoke about, and it's still very cluttered and strange and just not very good. I put it marginally better than The Secret of Crickley Hall, but only just because it's a more original idea, which gives it legs. But it's just a bit messy for my taste. So I'm aware that I haven't really spoken as much about these last books. With Ash, I spoke quite in depth about my likes and dislikes. Whereas there's a few books that I haven't said much more, because to say too much about this will just spoil the whole story. And if you do want to read it, and I'm not stopping you, you might really enjoy it. Saying any more is going to ruin it, and I don't want to do that for you. But there isn't an awful lot I can say without spoiling the story, other than to say I just don't like it. So that's basically where I'll leave it. Portent, number 21. I don't think it's very good. You might like it, but let's move on.